The bipartisan deal has been in the works for months.
If that bill were the law today, I'd shut down the border right now and fix it quickly.
So that bill Biden is discussing there, claiming that if Congress and the senators would sign it, the House would sign it, he would shut down the border immediately. So he's always had the power, you guys. But I'm telling you, that bill has millions and millions of dollars more for flipping Ukraine. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Storky Farmstead. So I had dinner tonight with two young men at the Waffle House, but we discussed state rights. I want you to hear their voice. I need you to hear the voice of the younger generation. Unfortunately, the very beginning clip, you can hear a lot of the cars on the street. I apologize. We moved to another spot. Please just put the captions on and hear what they have to say. Hear the knowledge that they're speaking, for one. One, about what the original first Civil War in America was fought over. Was fought over states' rights, not over slavery. Slavery was pretty much already agreed to be abolished. It was fought because the federal government kept pushing in where they did not belong. I know we've all been taught we fought the Civil War over slavery, but that is incorrect. We fought the Civil War over states' rights. Listen to what they're saying about what's coming towards America. And I did throw in some other clips, news clips and stuff I think are relevant to this topic. So God bless you. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
All right, the border battle in Texas at the Rio Grande intensifying over razor wire as Governor Abbott of Texas asserts his state's right to defend itself.
Today, new video shows even more razor wire being put in along a contested section of the U.S.-Mexico border. This is happening even after the Supreme Court on Monday voted to let federal Border Patrol agents remove all of that wire. The razor wire was installed as part of Texas Governor Greg Abbott's security initiative at the border known as Operation Lone Star. The Biden administration arguing now the razor wire prevents Border Patrol agents from doing their job. In a new statement, I want to share it with you this afternoon from the governor's desk. He says he's declared an invasion and invoking the state's constitutional authority to defend and protect itself, and it supersedes any federal statutes. Today, new video shows even more razor wire being put.
Okay, guys, so just tell me your first name and your age.
Daniel Buckalter. It's 18, almost at 17.
Daniel, I'm 18.
Okay, and so can you guys explain to my subscribers and to any other viewers, what was the Civil War fought over?
So the Civil War, it's commonly thought about it was fought over slavery, and the South wanted to have the slaves and the North wanted to free them, but that's just simply not true. The North, or the South, already agreed that they would give up their slaves, but the North wanted force them into it. They didn't give them a right. They just got rid of their state's rights to vote and their personal rights to, they're getting rid of their power of their own vote.
Right.
They wanted to force them into doing it faster. Slavery was already on the decline before the cotton gin came into creation. It was already dying, if not dead, but it had a relivening when the cotton gin came through. But they wanted it done here and now rather than giving it the time it needed to die naturally, because it was already on the decline majorly because of innovation. It just we didn't need it anymore.
Hey, why are you guys making it easier for people to enter the country illegally?
I don't believe we are. Why do you think we are?
Are we looking at a new civil war?
Does the administration think Texas is failing to comply with court orders around the placement and removal of razor wire?
Tensions between Texas and the Biden administration have reached a boiling point as the Lone Star State continues to defy an emergency injunction from the Supreme Court and block federal border agents into the state to cut razor wire it's been installing over the past few weeks. 25 other states have signed a letter pledging to support Texas as it installs razor wire on the southern border, with some sending members of their own state and National Guard to assist with the installation process. They wrote, "We stand in solidarity with our fellow governor, Greg Abbott, and the state of Texas in utilizing every tool and strategy, including razor wire fences, to secure the border. We do it in part because the Biden administration is refusing to enforce immigration laws already on the books and is illegally allowing mass parole across America of migrants who entered our country illegally." But it wasn't just Republicans who backed Abbott's decision to buck the feds. Presidential hopeful RFK Jr. wrote, "Texas is right. Biden's failure to secure the border leaves states no choice but to take matters into their own hands. As president, I will end this humanitarian crisis once and for all. I will secure the border and destroy the business model of the drug cartel."
Moved away from the noise, you guys. We apologize for that. But all right, Nathan, you were explaining to me the other day, economically speaking, what the federal government was going to do was going to crash the economy of the South.
The South was based solely off of production of agricultural goods. That's what they were putting out. The North was based on like using those goods and processing them into other things. That was their machinery. So the South saw it as the North taking away their only economic stance. With them being the richest part of the USA, they were taking away their only economic power if they did that.
Okay, so the Civil War was actually fought over state rights.
State rights and economics, yeah.
Okay, so when you look at where we're at in our country, your country, because you're the next generation, your country, do y'all see the signs of another Civil War?
Oh, very soon, yes.
Yes, yeah, it's again the government overstepping its limits, overstepping their boundaries, and telling the Texas government and the Texas people what they can and cannot do. And it's not about letting people into the country. Like, we're open to letting people into the country. It's just having them do so correctly. And it's getting rid of the people of Texas, their right to defend themselves with these people just flooding into the country. They're proving like dangerous. There's proof of one such individual lives, I think he came in illegally, and he lives in Colorado, and he's been to prison for murder and battery on several accounts, and every time he just gets let off. Like, no one's going to do anything to these illegals.
Yeah, that's how we're all feeling. Like we're no longer safe. So when you look at your future as a tax-paying young man, is it frustrating that your tax dollars are not going to things better well spent, I should say? Do you feel like your government could do a better job spending your money?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And it's also a case of, I feel like a lot of it is there's such a divide on both sides. No one's ever going to be happy with where that money's going. One side's always going to be upset that it's not going to their causes. And it should be more put to a communal use rather than personal use. We should leave some of it down to donations, because if you can donate to what causes you feel are right, and then the government can pay for the more generally accepted causes, it would lessen the divide of people.
I agree.
And similarly, it would just cut down on forcing the American people to pay taxes on stuff that they may not agree with. Like, they're losing their they're losing their voting power by being forced to pay tax on something they didn't vote for.
Taxation without representation. Exactly. I think I upset a few people not long ago because I made the comment, sending money to Israel may be offensive to some people. That's how I feel when the government funds abortions. How upset people are getting about the genocide and all this stuff, between the Palestinians and the Israelites. To me, I feel that way about abortion. Like, it is offensive to me that I have to fund somebody's abortion. Like, why do I have to pay for that? I am totally against it.
Yeah.
So I definitely see what you guys are saying. I think that is I've never even heard anybody suggest that. I think that's brilliant. And this is where this conversation needs to be had between my generation and your generation. More people need to sit down and we need to have these conversations, because I'm going to be my parents' age soon, and you guys are going to be my age soon, and you're going to have children, and you're going to need to have this conversation again. The problem we're running into is that our migration and our immigration laws are outdated. They're very outdated. There's not enough funding going into that program. It's backlogged. And I have proof. I have videos that prove it, that what's happening right now is it's a funding. It is called replacement migration. So what they're going to do is literally change the face of America. And me personally, I'm not down with the way they're doing it. I'm not. Come here, become a citizen, learn about the country, and then integrate into it. But don't send millions of people to replace my children's children. That's offensive to me. I feel like they're trying to wipe an entire, it's genocide in its own way. It really is. I mean, they're trying to genocide us.
It shouldn't be done in the way that it's being done. The way that they're allowing people in without any system put in place shouldn't be how it's done. We should change the system, not abolish it completely.
Yeah, I agree.
Because the system is broken in its own many different ways, but they aren't changing it. They're just abolishing it entirely.
Well, I appreciate both of your time. It was an honor, a privilege to hear your voice, and I will share it with the world.
Thank you.
Trying to be heartfelt. Somebody's like, let me get it on camera. Say it again.
It's just very disheartening because the younger generation just doesn't care about speaking out against the government and the things that they're doing, because why bother screaming if no one's going to pay attention to it? So many of us are just at this point kind of coasting through it, trying to get through it, and it's about I'm not here for a long time, I'm here for a good time is something you hear a lot.
Yeah.
It's less about the future, it's more about what I want to do right now, because
I don't even know if you have a future.
We don't know.
You don't know about job stability, housing. I mean,
and there's nothing we can do to really change it, is how most people view it. So why bother trying?
Well, I'll try to help you. That's a good start.
That's a good start.
That's a good start. But you know.
But even still, presidents don't listen to most of the people.
No, they don't. They say they're going to do something. They get in on that platform. They do what they want to. The federal government has too much power. I tell everybody, imagine a tick on a dog. It's too big. Yeah. It's time to pick it, and when you do it, burst. And it's going to be nasty. It's just going to be nasty.
It's going to be rough, but you'll be better for it in the end.
I think so. I mean, I really do think so. All right. Love you guys. Thank you.
Frontrunner for president, Donald Trump, who is urging GOP members of Congress to kill the deal, despite no details being officially released yet.
A lot of the senators are trying to say respectfully they're blaming it on me. I said, that's okay, please blame it on me. I'd rather have no bill than a bad bill.
President Joe Biden says the bipartisan deal has been in the works for months.
If that bill were the law today, I'd shut down the border right now and fix it quickly.
Oklahoma Senator James Lankford on Face the Nation said the former president and his allies, mostly House Republicans, are misinformed.
Right now they're all functioning off of internet rumors of what's in the bill, and many of them are false. So people want to be able to just see it, read it, go through it.
The deal would require Homeland Security reject migrants when there are spikes in crossings, raise the standard for asylum seekers, and expand fast-track deportations. All this as the Texas National Guard is refusing to allow federal agents into a public park where the state has set up razor wiring. Earlier in the week, the Supreme Court had ruled that Border Patrol could remove the wire.
It's Mississippi. Pew Research reports that over the past 7 years, Americans have increasingly felt that their political opposites are stupider, more dishonest, more immoral, and lazier. And the simple fact is, they're right, regardless of what side they're on.
I'm playing both sides so that I always come out on top.
And in light of this increasing political acrimony among Americans, some have begun to think it was good while it lasted, but it's time to call it quits on this whole union. Or extreme.
It's no good, he missed it. I don't care.
Delegates making an unsuccessful push to leave the union. And then, and stop me if you've heard this one, courts that have weighed in on the issues of secession have always shot them down. In 2010, Alaska's Supreme Court ruled that secession was illegal, and thus an initiative putting the question to a vote could not be placed on the ballot. So any effort to put a matter on the ballot in Texas would likely not be constitutional either. Even the late Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia, who followed a strict form of constitutional interpretation dubbed originalism, said that there's no legal basis for secession. And we learned Scalia's views on this matter in a quite unusual way. Back in 2006, legally minded screenwriter Daniel Turkowitz wrote a letter to all 9 Supreme Court justices for advice on a farcical script he was writing in which Maine secedes from the US and joins Canada, leading to a climactic showdown at the Supreme Court. Scalia was the only justice to provide a substantive response to Turkowitz, and the late justice was unequivocal. Quote, "To begin with, the answer is clear. If there was any constitutional issue resolved by the Civil War, it is that there is no right to secede. Hence, in the Pledge of Allegiance, one nation indivisible." The justice also explained why a secession case would never end up before the Supreme Court. Quote, "I find it difficult to envision who the parties to this lawsuit might be. Is the state suing the United States for a declaratory judgment? But the United States cannot be sued without its consent, and it has not consented to this sort of suit. I am sure that poetic license can overcome all that, but you do not need legal advice for that. Good luck with your screenplay." And although the Supreme Court has never heard a direct secession case, it did address the question indirectly in 1869, and once again, it involves Texas. The Supreme Court case of Texas versus White centered on the cash-strapped state selling U.S. Treasury bonds to help finance its war with the Union. A brokerage firm purchased some of these bonds and then resold them to investors. And after the South's defeat, the Union-supported Reconstruction government of Texas filed suit against the brokerage firm directly with the Supreme Court, as the Constitution confers original jurisdiction to the top court for cases in which a state is a party. And Texas argued that the rebel government had illegally sold these bonds, and the state was therefore entitled for their return and/or repayment. The brokerage firm argued that these sales were legal and it had no duty to repay Texas. And in a 5-3 ruling, the Supreme Court ruled that the Confederate States' sale was illegal because Texas's secession itself was illegal, and as a matter of law, it never happened. Writing for the majority of the court, Chief Justice and secret grizzly bear Salmon Chase, who once famously graced the face of the now defunct $10,000 bill, declared, quote, "The union between Texas and the other states was as complete, as perpetual, and as indissoluble as the union between the original states. There was no place for reconsideration or revocation except through revolution or through the consent of the states." So the Supreme Court has spoken. There are only two paths to secession: revolution or a consensual dissolution. Now, before you go thinking that declaring war against the United States is just this one weird trick that allows you to secede, or governments hate it because it's so successful, I should note that waging war against the government is not legal. It's what we lawyer types would call treason, a crime that is punishable by death. Hashtag not legal advice, don't commit treason.